Sri Ram, we are discussing the law of retribution as expounded by Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, the three shlokas which we can identify are 4:11, 4th chapter 11th shloka, 7th chapter 21st, and 9th chapter 25. Now, let us look at this. This is actually retribution, the law of retribution. In English, the word retribution has many meanings. As usual, every word in English has many meanings, and sometimes the meanings are exact opposites of each other, which is why English is probably the worst language on the planet. Now, retribution is punishment administered in return for a wrong committed. But in theology, retribution is defined as punishment or reward. The punishment or reward which a person is given by the Almighty Lord, distributed in future life or even in the current life based on performance of this one. So the distribution of rewards and punishments in a future life is also called retribution. It could also be in the current life. Now let us look at the first shloka which expounds the law of retribution, 4:11. 4th chapter 11th shloka, it goes like this: Ye yadha mam prapadyante tam stadhaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanuvartante manushya partha sarvashaha. Krishna says, in whatever way people surrender to me, I reciprocate with them accordingly. Everyone follows my path, knowingly or unknowingly, O son of Pritha. So here Krishna is clarifying that he reciprocates with everyone in the same way in which they surrender to him. So this is a very, very profound statement. So Krishna sits inside our hearts, notes our actions, and dispenses the results. Because he is the Shashvata Dharmagopta, the guardian of the eternal law, and Krishna declares in the Gita very clearly in several places that he resides in the hearts of every Jivatma. So, in this shloka, if you notice, Krishna says bhajami. Now, ye yadha mam prapadyante tam stadhaiva bhajami aham. Now, bhajami means serve. Please listen very carefully. Krishna says he serves his devotees by destroying their accumulated karmas over endless lifetimes and cutting the bonds of Maya, removing the ignorance and darkness caused by tamasic existence or this material existence, and he bestows divine bliss, knowledge, and divine love. So, Krishna is declaring very clearly he willingly enslaves himself to the love of his devotee and he serves his devotee. Sri Rama also says the same thing to Hanuman. Similarly, Rama also says, Ekaikasyo upakarasya pranan dasyami te kape sheshasyeho upakaranam bhavam rinino vayam. Valmiki Ramayana. So he says, O Hanuman, to release myself from the debt of one service you performed for me, I will have to offer my life to you. And for all the other devotional services you have rendered to me, I will be eternally indebted. Remember, Krishna and Rama are two sides of the same coin. And they reciprocate with everyone in the same way as they treat them. Right? So in short, what Krishna is saying is, in whatever way men approach me, in the same way I reward them. And all Jivatmas, they tread my path. They have to tread my path only. So I reward men by bestowing on them the objects they desire in accordance with their ways and the motives with which they seek me. If anyone worships me with selfish motives, I grant him the objects he desires. If he worships me unselfishly to attain knowledge of the self, I grant him moksha or final liberation. So Krishna is clearly saying he is not partial to anyone, right? There is no discrimination here. The next chapter we identified was the 7th chapter, 21st shloka. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktah shraddhayarchitum ichchati tasya tasyachalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham. So Krishna is saying whatsoever form any devotee desires to worship with faith, eh, that faith of his I make it firm and unflinching. So Krishna reinforces the kind of faith that you take a liking to. Your faith could be sattvic faith, rajasic faith, tamasic faith. Now, if it is tamasic faith, you will be worshipping tombs and fakirs and stinking bones or ghosts and indulging in all this stupid behavior and thinking that God is going to be happy with you. Well, what Krishna is saying is, if you show interest in that kind of a tamasic faith, he will reinforce your tamasic faith. So that's the generosity of Krishna here. Actually, the kind of faith that we have is the result of several births, several earlier births, which is born of the samskaras of our previous births. And so, it is something that we have acquired, and out of his infinite love for us, he will reinforce it for you. So be careful what kind of faith you choose. Don't worship tombs and all that. And you should recollect that throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is clearly stating that he resides in the hearts of all living beings. Sarvasya chaham, 15th chapter, 15th verse. Sarvasya chaham hrudisannivishto matta smrutir jnanamapohanancha vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krutveda videva chaham. I am seated in the hearts of all living beings, and from me come memory, knowledge, or even forgetfulness. I alone am to be known by the Vedas. I am the author of the Vedanta, which is all the philosophy of the Vedas, Upanishads, and also the knower of the meaning of the Vedas. So, this is Krishna's categorical statement. So, basically, what is happening here, if your faith is tamasic, he will reinforce it, that so that eventually you will rise to rajasic and sattvic and transcend all the three gunas. So one has to go through high school, then to college, and PhD comes later, isn't it? And the last shloka that we identified as the law of retribution is 9th chapter, 25th shloka, which goes like this: Yanti devavrata devan पितॄन्यान्ति पितृव्रताः भूतानि यान्ति भूतेज्या yanti madhyajinopi mam. Here Krishna is very clearly saying those who worship the celestial gods take birth among the celestial gods. Worshippers of the Pitrus and ancestors go to the ancestors. Worshippers of ghosts, they take birth among such beings, and my devotees come to me alone. So the fruit that Krishna's devotees get is endless, infinite. But the others have to understand that the goals that they seek are limited. A simple analogy can be a devotee, like water in a pipe can only rise to the level of the reservoir to which it is connected. Water in a pipe can only be allowed to rise, or it will rise if sufficient pressure is available, to the level of the reservoir to which it is connected. Likewise, devotees can also be only elevated to the level of the deity they worship. So if you are worshipping, let us say, in a lighter vein, suppose you are worshipping some fakir, so you will someday achieve the status of a fakir yourself, right? So be careful. So if somebody worships ghosts, spirits, this is tamasic worship. So there's a lot of witchcraft, black magic and Vama Margi, tantrics. A lot of tantrics are there. Tantra actually means worship of Devi. But it has got corrupted because of the stupid activity of many people who indulge in this kind of black magic. So people who indulge in this kind of tantric activity, they will eventually take birth as a tantric themselves, and among spirits and ghosts and all that. So the highest devotee is one who attaches his mind, heart, soul to Krishna. So Krishna is also guaranteeing he cannot lift you beyond the level that you want to go to. And Krishna's devotees do not come back. They do not have to come back and take birth, and they will be released from this endless cycle of birth and death. And remember, Sattvic worship basically means, if you look at the ninth chapter 26 shloka, Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahrutam ashnami prayatatmanaha. So Krishna is saying, if you offer me uh, with devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or even a little water. Whatever is offered with devotion and a pure mind, I will accept it. So the point is, God is Nitya Tripta. He does not need your offerings, your oblations. There is nothing that He needs. He is not suffering from any scarcity. He does not need goats and chicken and slaughtering goats and the blood of innocent animals. That's all rubbish. You are insulting God's intelligence by thinking that He's going to be happy if you slaughter some poor innocent lamb or goat. So He is Nitya Tripta. The only thing which He doesn't have is your heart, your genuine love. Because Jivatma and Paramatma are eternal friends. That is what the Veda also says. The Veda says, द्वा सुपर्णा सयुजा सखाया समानं वृक्षं परिशस्व जाते तयोरन्यः पिप्पलं स्वाद्वति अनश्नन्यो अभिचाकशीति. This is the parable of the two birds. In all the Vedas, there is a story, a parable. That is, there is a tree, there are two birds, one is sitting right on top and looking at the other bird. The other bird is hopping from branch to branch and eating fruits. Sometimes it eats sweet fruits and enjoys. Sometimes on some other branch it tastes maybe some sour or bitter fruits. So this small parable that appears in the Vedas indicates that the bird sitting on top is the Supreme Lord Krishna or Rama, Brahman, the impersonal Lord. And the Jivatma is you and I, who are busy, engaged in all that this temporary material world is offering, and the Paramatma is looking down intensely at his friend, that is you and me. We are eternal friends of Krishna. Remember that. Jai Shri Ram.